Why do we do anything? What makes somebody want to do something as ridiculous as jump out of a plane or as reckless as driving a car really fast next to other people who are driving cars extremely fast in a really tight area? What makes people want to do things like dedicate their entire lives to throwing some orange ball into a fucking net? What makes people want to sit in a grocery store for 30 years just making sure everybody shops okay? What makes people want to stock a shelf for the rest of their lives? What makes people want to be accountants, bankers, even the most wealthy people? What makes someone want to be a president, getting shot at and shit? Why do we do anything? And was any of it worthwhile? For that person who got shot at, for that person who stocked the shelf, for the person who made art, to the person who wrote music, were their lives worthwhile? Is every action we're doing something that we were supposed to do? When we're born, it's not like we're given a manual saying this is what people are supposed to do. Other than reproduce and create, nothing's very certain. So that's what I really loved about Frieren. For some reason, this show perfectly just animates every part of life that is uncertain. And every single episode, she's walking with death. And every now and then, they show us flashbacks of her past and how she experienced it. And that made her experience just that more rich and deep. When it came to her friends, it hit me so much harder because for me, the times in my life where I felt most alive was when I had a friend group that I was seeing almost every single day. Being connected with a group of people, a community, a tribe, that I hope that for most people, that's the most incredible feeling they've ever had. And I've had that with many groups in my life, so I guess I should be extremely grateful for that. But even now, I don't necessarily have that. I have people around me, but nothing close to what it was last time. And it's been about it might be closer to 10 years since I've been in that position. Anyway, Ririn spends her entire time, her entire journey, thinking about what her friends past did and how they would do things, and recognizing the value in even the small things that they did and how it affected people hundreds of years later. And it helped me remember that too, because when I think of these things, I'm constantly thinking about what we used to do, places we used to go, things we used to do. And those memories have probably become extremely fantasized. They may not have been as fun as they were at the time, but within my memory, my experience, that was the height of everything. And I don't remember not having fun back then. So it's not something that I see with anything other than the most high quality feelings. And even though if I go past some of the people that I used to wake up for every single day, I would have done anything for them, I'm not even close to anymore, and I can't really speak to them. Some of them aren't even alive anymore. And that just helped me even further understand the feelings that Frieren was feeling throughout the entire anime. So when she finally gets on her journey, and we see actually some of her friends that were in that party are still there, and the things that they valued and the things that they wanted, she found herself constantly confused at how they could see that as significant, when for her, she lives thousands of years. These things are relatively minute for her. These things are something that she saw as useless. And that spawned her greatest hobby of going around and collecting magic and figuring out exactly the value that all sorts of magic can have. And she doesn't even hold very much pride in that. She just calls it a hobby. She makes light of it, and she respects the emotions and the experiences of others because of what she experienced with these friends that she traveled with who are no longer here. Actually, I think by the end of the series, one of them's still alive. I don't remember. I only watched it once, but even in that one watch through, it was like one of the greatest anime I've seen in the last maybe 5 years. Edge Runners was pretty good, I tend to like anime that try to encapsulate the meaning of life and what the hell we're all doing and what has value. And that's something that we can all extrapolate into our own lives. And that's what makes it even more interactive. So when we see her priest friend, the corrupt priest, not to mention just the flawed nature of it all, nobody's perfect. This priest, he is a priest. He is supposed to be at the peak of purity. He is supposed to be him. They call that nigga father. And he spent his entire life just drinking, and I think he was whoring. And the corrupt nature of a priest shows that even somebody who's doing what can be seen as unforgivable and the most depraved, even that person has value. So it takes away the kind of blame that we give towards ourselves. And I feel like that lesson is like the first step in the lesson of learning to forgive yourself and moving forward, and learning to stop judging yourself. And through that, you can stop judging others, because just as flawed as you are, just as hurt as you are, just as you have hurt other people, people will do that to you. And that's because of things that have happened to them, circumstances that weren't necessarily in their control, and you can learn to forgive. So seeing that nature and what he really wanted in his final days, all he wanted was to set this little girl that he was taking care of now and put her on a finer path. And even him in his twilight years is doing something that Himmel would do, solely because Himmel was a hero and he wanted to be a good person. He, at this point, he had renounced the drinking. He started becoming a better priest. He grows, but he had the most amazing line that I literally think of once a day to this day. He was like, I never really became an adult, and I've been pretending all this time. And I can feel that so heavily, because the lack of responsibility in a grown priest drinking every day, that's really somebody who's been going through the motions forever. He had desires and he had things he wanted fulfilled, and through that, he allowed them to be fulfilled through that, until he realized the responsibility of it. And he really, even at that point, just got better at pretending to be an adult. And that in itself is very connecting to me, because I'm learning and I'm understanding and I'm growing. And I feel like I'm in a position where I understand where my parents were. So I can forgive them for things they were, because they weren't fucking older than me. And I'm nowhere close to where they were. So who am I to judge what they were doing at that time? They were out there living. And it's extremely uplifting to experience these things within the show, especially if you have the experiences to extrapolate it into your own life. But even without it, Frieren animates it, and just the setting, the tone, it all had the best feeling possible. And it was so, I don't know, bro, it was like a summer evening. It was just the best feeling. And it was really melancholy, happy but somber. It was just a very good experience of human life and what it feels like for something like that to be taken away, as well as the things that Frieren experiences is perceived because she lived so long. But to see her friend in his twilight years experiencing the exact same thing, it gets rid of that separation. The idea that there's any difference between me and them, the idea that the little actions over the small actions, that there is any different, the idea that the guy who's stocking your grocery shelves has a less significant life than the guy running fucking Google is absurd. We're all experiencing a human experience, and all of it is the same. It may not be equal in the way that we experience it, but like the way we see life is an illusion. One day it will pass and we will pass, but we'll go on to something else. So when it comes to the way that we perceive life, all that really matters is how you feel and what you want to spend your days doing, what you want to do within this life. The past is the past. You can forgive it, you can forget it. All of that was just a product of your circumstances. Realistically, you had no control over anything that happened in your life. And Frieren perfectly shows that. She has random demons coming after her all the time. She ain't doing shit but trying to make flowers grow, and there are people beefing with her over shit that happened an entire lifetime ago, and these people don't even know how far out of their league she is. Another concept in Frieren that is insane is the humility of it. You will be the one who defeats the Demon King, but you have to hide forever, so nobody will ever know your name. And she just got into the habit of pure humility. She's going around and she's doing good for the sake of doing good. And when people figure out who she is, she doesn't shy away from it. She doesn't feel shame for who she is, but she doesn't feel the need to push it over people. She doesn't feel the need to be superior to anybody else, but she does take on the roles that she needs to take on when she does it. She's a mentor when she needs to be a mentor. She's a friend when she needs to be a friend, but she's allowed to be a child when she needs to be a child. The bitch can't wake up on time ever, and people are upset with her. They're constantly treating her like she's a child, but at the same time, they see her as this mentor, as the Goku. She's, if everything is fucked, it's her, nigga. It's Frieren. It's over for everybody else if she's not here. The biggest threat they felt is when a copy of her was in the room. They could still barely beat her ass. She only defeated it by being able to be humble and see her own flaws and shamelessly realize them, communicate them to others without any fear of retribution or it coming back to her. And it was just a beautiful expression of vulnerability, as well as the understanding of who a person is, what a person can do, and what can happen if we break down the walls between us. If we can just learn to connect with each other, if we can just learn that we are not different. We all, due to our circumstances and nature, have come out a certain way. And some of us might be more rugged, some of us may be less refined, some of us may be downright scummy priests who drink all day and are lecherous, smoking, gambling. There's an even more corrupt priest later, and that can, it just gets better. And I hear that there's another sequel coming. This entire anime was written by a woman, by the way, so no misogyny this episode, but this is definitely extremely worthy. I'm seeing a lot of people saying it's the best anime. I haven't looked at the stats saying that it is, so I'm not gonna say that, but I'm gonna say that as me. This is the best anime you're gonna watch in the last, bro. This isekai fantasy genre has been trash for a while. So Frieren is, I wouldn't even want to call it a breath of fresh air. It's like Himalayan air. It's like precious air from a heaven sent area of purity and animation and humor and culture. It's just a beautiful cacophony of melancholy serendipity, and it is a perfect expression of our fragile lives. What should we be doing with them? What does a person experience who's at the top of the world, and how is his experience different, and how is his experience the same to someone who is stocking a shelf at a grocery store or someone who's homeless? The same experience with a friend where he's in a much better place than I am right now, but he's so bored. And to hear the words come out of his mouth, it sounded like he was taking them out of my subconscious. I've been envious of him for a while because his life is just, I feel like despite the suck, he chose good choices and that put him in a better position, and I didn't necessarily do that. So I saw how useless it was and he saw how useless it was, but he carried on regardless, and he's in a better place. But regardless of that, me and him are both in the same place of, we wish we could be doing something that feels meaningful, that has structure, that gives value, something that exists. And Frieren is a perfect stop where we can see someone else's perspective into what made their lives, or what they perceive would make someone's life valuable, even from a perspective of a 1,000-year-old humble savage of a elf lady.